Hi, this is Rachel with Beadaholique, and in this video I want to show you some of our check glass fire polished donut rondelles. These are on the smaller end of the fire polished rondelles that we carry. They measure 3.5 by 5 millimeters, and they're beautifully faceted. I hope you can see. They just have really gorgeous facets that catch the light and draw attention to these really lustrous finishes. So these come in 5 colors that are popular on many of our different styles of check glass beads. The colors are dark red travertine, violet luster, lazur blue, blue luster, and crystal labrador. And I just want to show you a bracelet I made using some of these crystal labrador rondelles. This is a strung bracelet, and it uses the rondelles, some check tri-cut seed beads, that's these little gold beads, some true to 2mm fire polished beads, and some Preciosa Crystal Rose Monty beads. That's these little mini focals scattered throughout the bracelet. And these Monties are great because you can see on the back that they have 2 thread paths through the beads, so you can actually cross your wires in this bracelet and make a really cool lacy design. So I'm going to show you how to make a color variation of this bracelet. For this project, you'll need some donut rondelles, and I'm using the violet luster color, which is this nice mauve purple with a gold finish to it. You'll also need some check crystal bicones, some crystal rose Monty beads, crimp beads, crimp bead covers, a nice clasp, check tri-cut seed beads. This is a nice purple color we have. A couple of pre-cut lengths that I have of gold beading wire. And for tools, you'll need some flush cutters, flat nose pliers, and crimping pliers. I started by pre-cutting 2 10-inch lengths of beading wire here. And the first thing I'm going to do is to crimp those lengths of wire to my clasp. So here's a crimp bead. I'll take my first wire and string that crimp bead, and then slide the wire through one loop of the clasp and take it back through the crimp bead. And then just pull that crimp bead nice and snug up to the top of that clasp. And now I'm going to crimp the crimp bead with crimping pliers. So first crimp it flat and then use the rounded portion of the nose to round that bead together. And now I'm going to put a crimp bead cover over that crimp. So I'll take my cover and place it over the crimp bead. And I'm going to take flat nose pliers and just gently squeeze that crimp cover shut. And I'm going to repeat the same thing for the other beading wire. I'll take the wire, string a crimp bead, thread the wire through the second loop of the clasp, and back through the crimp bead. Get it nice and snug at the top. And now I'm going to crimp the crimp bead. And round it out. And again, I'm going to take one crimp bead cover and place it over that crimp bead. A little slippery, hard to hold in place, but I'm going to take my flat nose pliers and just gently squeeze the crimp bead cover shut. And that is step 1 of your project. Now we're going to begin stringing your beads. So first, we're going to pick up 2 of these donut rondelles and slide one onto each length of beading wire. And slide that down. And make sure that the beads go over the wire tail of your beading wire, because that strengthens it. And now at this point, this is when I like to cut off the excess beading wire. So now I'm going to take the tail and just clip it really close to that bead. And I'll do the same on the other side. Okay, so now your first rondelle is strung. So now we're going to pick up some of these check tri-cut seed beads and string 3 on each wire. So 1, 2, 3 on the first wire, and 1, get in there, 2, 3 on the second wire. Slide those down. Okay, and now we're going to pick up one of the crystal rose Monty beads. And this is a fun step. So these beads have these 2 thread paths in the back, and we are actually going to have our wires cross when we string this. So we'll string it across on one beading wire, and then with the other beading wire, we'll string through the other path. And we're just going to pull that tight, and our wires have crossed, and it makes that nice looping pattern there. So that's the first rose Monty. And now we're going to string 3 more tri-cut beads on each strand. 1, 2, 3 over there, and 1, 2, 3 over here. Slide those down. And now I'm going to pick up 2 more donut rondelles, 1 on each strand. And between the rondelles, so on this piece, between the donut rondelles, I put in some True 2 2mm fire polished beads. But in this variation, I think I'm going to use some of these bicones. So I'm going to pick up 2 bicones and put 1 on each strand. And now 2 more rondelles, 1 on each strand. 2 more bicones. Slide those down. And last 2 rondelles of this part of the pattern. And slide those down. And now again, we're going to string 3 tri-cut beads on each side. So there's 3 on one side, 3 tiny little holes, 2, 3 on the other side. Slide those down. And now it's time for the next rose Monty. And I love this crystal gold color. It's just a very true gold. Works really beautifully with this gold beading wire. So, stringing these lengths of beading wire through the opposing holes on the back of this Monty. And it's a little tight, so you just have to be patient with the wire. Pull it tight so it slides down. And you just completed your first loop of the bracelet. So now I'm going to work up the rest of these loops, and I'll see you back to finish the clasp. So now I've made my bracelet about 7 inches, which is the length that I want. And now I'm going to finish the other side. So the first thing I'm going to do is separate my clasp here. Just going to open it up and remove this pretty other side with the inset crystals. Move it over here. And now I'm going to take 1 length of my beading wire, slide on a crimp bead, and slide it through 1 loop of the clasp. Now I'll take it back through the crimp bead. Make sure that's slid down so my thread is nice and tight. And now I'm going to crimp that bead. And round it in the jaws of the pliers. Oops. Yep, you gotta be careful for beads sliding off your other length of beading wire while you're doing this, but it's fine. You can always just put it back on. So now I'm going to add a crimp bead cover over that crimp bead. And take my flat nose pliers and squeeze it shut. And now I'm just going to cut off the excess beading wire with flush cutters. And make sure to get rid of these extra wires. They are not very good toys for cats. Okay, so now I'm going to restring these little beads that fell off. And do the same to the other side of the beading wire. I'm going to take a crimp bead, slide it on, then slide the wire through the other loop of the clasp. And take it back through my crimp bead. It's coming, I promise. Pull it tight. And I'm going to crimp that bead. And again, take a crimp bead cover, slide it over the crimp bead, and close it with flat nose pliers. And I'm going to cut off the excess wire with flush cutters. So that is how you make the glittering gala bracelet. And I have two color variations. They have different feels, but they're both lovely. Looks great when you close the clasp. Has some nice movement to it. And it's a great project featuring these check glass donut rondelles. You can find all of these supplies and more at BeadaHolique.com. Thanks for watching.